Yeah. Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We are back again and with another exciting topic. This is Jan Roberts and Professor Maurizio Rossini. And today's topic, a very necessary topic, is about role models and young men. So, welcome, Professor Maurizio Rossini again. Let's hear from you.
Thank you so much, Jan. Thank you so much. And yes, this topic we discussed is very important because not recently, after adolescence, this Netflix series that has been really hitting the heart of many people, sharing a story of a young man in his 13 years of age in the UK that stabbed to death a girl. And I've been here in Malaysia, as you know, doing men's work. I'm related with many parents, and there is so much fear within the parents when it comes to how to educate or how to be a good role model, a positive role model for the kids. Obviously, this society is pushing to work mother and father. So both of the parents, they spend a long time outside the household. And consequently, they have little time to spend with their kids. Consequently, they are so afraid on how their kids they can get good guidance, and it's really painful to see parents they don't know what to do because now the role models, most of the young male especially, they are searching on TikTok, on social medias, and some of the role models online they could be legit, but unfortunately there is a lot of men they do preach not healthy values for kids. Consequently, some young male they go in they behave in ways that they are really misogynist, really unrespectful with ladies, really selfish and quite aggressive. Because at that age, a young man wants to prove his identity. And as a young man, as you remember, dear Jan, we all wanted to prove that we are in this world. So we use a lot of the physicality because we don't have enough emotional regulation to deal with our emotions. Therefore, it is fundamental that there has to be a role model. And when it comes to young male, even energetically speaking, the father has to be present, not only physically, but more than everything, emotionally.
Yeah, and there's already a big challenge, of course, because if the father is actually part of the household, they are actually busy trying to make a living, which we've talked about already, how that also a stressful situation many times with jobs disappearing and the stress it causes that men that they feel they can't provide. And now they also need to be a role model when they are maybe even now taken on two jobs, so they're even less in the household, and therefore the real role model, quite often they have to look the boys have to look to their mother, and it happens a lot in households anyway, that the mother is actually the example to them. But the father should always, and my wife said this before, it says the boys, they will learn from the mother because the mother shows them what they allow to happen. Now that's not always as easy as it seems, but I mean they can also set the example what a man should be like. Now we've got a lot of kids where if you ask the parents where they are at 1 o'clock in the morning, they have no idea. And all of a sudden they're surprised that the police knock on the door, that their young boy or their teenager has been taken in because they've done things that they shouldn't be doing. But when they start hanging around, like we're talking about inner circles there, but when they start hanging around a wrong crowd, it doesn't take an awful lot for kids because of peer pressure and all those kind of things. So the young boys are also under pressure to perform, good or bad. So there is so much more of a need, because the real role models are not these these drug snorting and boozing pop idols or some of the other kind of people that we see on the news all the time, and people idolize them and they don't want to be like them, and they shouldn't be like them. I mean, I just looked up a few wonderful role models like Dwayne Johnson. He really portrays the Rock. He really portrays family life. And then you had Roger Federer, because of the discipline he went through. He is known for his values. And the other one was LeBron James, who actually works with inner city kids And he uses values like resilience and discipline and hard work to show these young kids that there is hope and that there is work to be done. So I love those kind of role models. But I mean, if you really want to ask, can we mention real role models? And if we ask the youth, then sometimes it's frightening what they talk about. And that's also, and I know also that you have some wonderful tools as well that will help parents in these situations. So I'm excited about this.
Thank you so much. And I use a keyword that you just mentioned, showing, because kids in general, especially the male kids, they do not follow much what you are saying because they go into a bit of defensive, but they mimic, they model what you are doing. So that's very important. I will get to the point, but first step, if a parent, if you're listening to this, watching us, and you are a bit confused on how to approach, number one is to create a safe emotional environment. That means that when, let's say, your young male shuts down, is a bit introvert, is just to let him know that he doesn't have to talk right now, but let him know that once he feels ready, you are there for him to listen to him. So it breaks down the defensive, it breaks down the opposition, the resistance that he puts on, because he feels that he can be understood. And that is very important to refrain from the language of responsibilities and not to shame. Means that when the kid makes a mistakes, we have to ask him, what did you learn out of it? Without blaming him for the mistakes as well, because kids are kids and they are in the process of getting to know themselves. So if we show them which lesson did you learn, breaking the class on the floor or pushing the kids at school, so you put them in a responsibility mode instead of shame. And it's very important to understand that even, the brain of a male, it works in a very particular way. And one of the most powerful tools, not only with kids, but even with adults, is always to be very calm and poised under pressure. There is a beautiful way that we preach even during our men's circle to adults. When a parent, especially the father, coming up after 8 hours of work, trying to make it happen and provide, and you are very tired, you have no energy for the kid. If the kid triggers you with a behavior, just pause a second, breathe deeply, get detachment from the anger of shouting at him, and show him how the father is able to deal with an uncomfortable situation, but from a space of being grounded. Without taking any action, the young male, your son, will look at you and he says, look at my father, how he's dealing with this situation. So again, so important we keep in mind that young male, they look at the father and the mother as a role model. They do not listen much what I say, but they mimic them. And it's very important that, for example, I know that I can see clearly, you go to the restaurant and you see mother, father, and kids, all of them with a cell phone, 4 of them at the table. Example, kids, they don't like rules. But what if you can say, look, in this family, we're gonna set some standards. Once we are all together, we prioritize the communication and we don't give room to the cell phone, because for us, it's important that we connect as a family member. So it's not saying the kid, you're not allowed to bring the phone. We talk about connection. We talk about let's stay together. So we prioritize the connection over the phone, which is very, very powerful. And to end up, as you know, Jan, I'm a big fan of rugby. Thanks to my father, he introduced me to rugby. Why I love team sports? Because each team sport might be rugby, soccer, basketball, volleyball, whatever you like, your kid likes. But once you are on a team, you learn how to honor your individuality, but still you understand you are part of a team. Consequently, they learn how important it is to be part of a team and respect the roles that everybody has. So I'm a huge fan to send the kids to play team sports.
And I love all of that. As you said, the one thing that always stands out is, and it's a quote, what you do speaks so loud that what you say I can't hear. You know, I mean, like parents who said, oh, like a father standing in the door opening with a cigarette in his mouth and a tin of beer in his hand, and they say, I hope my son never starts smoking. You know, I mean, and then they say, I don't know how it happened, but my son is smoking as well. You know, those kind of, there is so many examples, and these are gentle examples, but I mean, even to the point of violence, you know, gender-based violence, all those kind of things. And I think, you know, yes, there is, I mentioned a few big role models, but the biggest role models are in our own community and in our own family. And when we look in the mirror, can we be better role models? And the answer is always yes. I mean, I firmly believe that I've got a lot to learn. And as you said, sometimes it's so easy because you're tired or you're frustrated or something annoys you that it comes out at the wrong time to the wrong people because it should only be for you. But all those kind of things are very important. And as you said, team sports. I also love team sports. And when you look at teams in general, the ego needs to stay at home. So when there is teams like smaller teams of smaller countries or smaller cities, they actually take on the giants and beat them because they play as a team. I think it's always a brilliant example. I remember when Iceland beat England in the football World Cup. I mean, how did that even happen? But it did happen, and it did happen because they had nothing to lose. They played with heart. They played with each other, and so the things that we can learn from even watching sport, participating is even better because I think it's great for young kids to get out of the house and have some engagement and some exercise. But again, you know, they need examples. They need great examples. And if a sports person it becomes their role model, then it's much more likely that they will go and watch that sport and hopefully even participate in it. Because, as you said, with the mobile phone and technology, and it's got a place, of course, all of it. But it seems to have taken over a lot of family life, where the kids now sit in front of their laptops and their knowledge, they gain knowledge and skills, and that we never had when we were younger. But I speak to a lot of people also in martial arts and those kind of things, and they find out they can't get young kids to come because the young kids are doing other things now, and I don't know with you. And again, it was a great example. My dad used to take us out at the weekends to go into the forest and all that kind of thing. And my grandparents had a farm. I mean, for us, it was a problem getting back in the house in time. I used to get punished for not being home in time because, time goes fast. But now to get them out of the house is quite the opposite. So, we need to talk into those kind of things. And as I said, the examples where you just mentioned that parents can do so much, and sometimes we need to remember, who we're talking to and how we're talking to them.
Beautifully said, Jan, as always. And on my side, I close it up like this: as a rule of thumb, either if you're a mother or a father, but for the sake of this conversation, it's really man to man, like father to son. Behave and be always as you like your son to be. So you want your son to be courageous, consistent, self-disciplined, creative, and joyful. Be that man, because I hear you, man. I know that you are tired. You're doing the best to provide for your family. I know it's difficult at times. Go back home, you want to have some peace, and the kids is super overexcited because wants to spend some time with you. I know it's hard, but you are an adult, and the kid needs guidance, and that's your son. So from a space of love, at times we don't need to do great things, just to behave in a way that our kids can really see us as role models. So just stick to the plan, behave, speak like you want him to behave and speak.
And that, it really talks into the quote, be the change you want to see in your family, and in your community. And I think that's wonderfully put. And at that, I think we can talk for another hour if you like to, but I think hopefully everybody who's listening today, they've got some idea, and share this, share this, and comment on this, because we will engage in communication with you as well. But you will possibly know people who would need to listen to this and who need to hear this today. So please share this with others as well, and we will be back, hopefully all being well, next week. So from me, it's goodbye, and Maurizio.
Goodbye, everybody, and get engaged with us. leave us a comment and suggest us topics that you want us to talk about.
Take care and happy May Day.